Everyone believed Nora Adeyemi had one life. She lived in a quiet, highbrow estate on the Lekki axis, where the gates were tall, the roads were clean, and the silence itself smelled expensive. Her husband, Femi Lawson, was a well-known businessman with interests in construction and oil servicing. He drove luxury cars, wore tailored suits, and spoke with the confidence of a man who had never been told no. To the outside world, Nora's life was perfect. To her best friend Bizi Khalad, it was a dream she secretly felt should have been hers. Nora and Bizi had grown up together in a noisy compound in Ibadan. Their childhood was made of shared bowls of rice, borrowed clothes, and whispered prayers under mosquito nets. They were inseparable. If Bizi fought, Nora defended. If Nora cried, Bizi roared at the world on her behalf. But they were different in ways that only became clear as they grew older. Nora was patient, observant, and deeply cautious. She believed in timing and silence. Bizi was fiery, impulsive, and ambitious. She wanted her reward immediately and loudly. While Nora dreamed of peace, Bizi dreamed of power. They promised each other they would never let life separate them. Life did not ask for their permission. After university, Nora met Femi through a catering job. He noticed her softness, her quiet intelligence, and the way she never begged for attention. He pursued her relentlessly and married her within a year. The wedding was extravagant. People who attended went home talking about it for weeks. "This one has entered enjoyment," they said. Bizi smiled beside Nora as her chief bridesmaid, but something bitter lodged itself in her chest that day. She told herself it was just shock, just admiration, just the pain of watching someone else win. But the feeling didn't leave. After the wedding, Nora moved into the mansion. The house was beautiful, but it felt cold. The walls were too white, the silence too loud. At first, Femi was attentive. Then, gradually, his true nature began to surface. He did not shout often. He did not beat her constantly. His cruelty was quieter and more dangerous. He monitored her movements, controlled her calls, decided who could visit and when. Sometimes, when anger overwhelmed him, he hit her. Other times, he simply stood too close, whispering threats into her ear with a smile. Nora learned quickly. Fear was safer than resistance. She never told Bizi. When Bizi visited, she saw only the surface. The cars, the clothes, the fridge stocked with imported drinks. She saw Nora's expensive perfume and soft voice and assumed her friend was ungrateful for a life many women prayed for. Envy grew slowly inside Bizi, feeding on silence and assumptions. If I had this man, she often thought, I would never complain. She began dressing differently when she visited, laughing louder, touching Femi's arm casually, complimenting him excessively. Femi noticed not with desire, but with interest. He was a man who enjoyed control, and he sensed it in her eyes. Nora noticed everything, but she said nothing, because Nora was planning something. Unbeknownst to Bizi, Nora had been quietly preparing her escape. She had been saving money, hiding documents, and building connections. She knew leaving Femi openly would be dangerous. She needed a distraction, a replacement, a shift in his focus. She never imagined her best friend would volunteer. Bizi's jealousy reached its peak the night she overheard two women at a salon discussing Nora's life with envy. Something snapped inside her. That night, she visited a spiritualist, desperate and reckless. She wanted Femi. She wanted Nora's life. The spiritualist warned her. Once destinies were bound, there would be no reversal. Bizi didn't listen. Within days, Femi changed. He grew distant from Nora, aggressive, unpredictable, and then one morning, without explanation, he threw her out. Nora cried as she left the mansion, carrying only 2 bags. But her tears were not only from pain. They were from freedom. Bizi stepped into the mansion believing she had won. The reality hit her immediately. Femi's cruelty was no longer controlled. It was violent, public, and relentless. There were no apologies, no gifts, no remorse. The man she had fantasized about became her daily nightmare. She tried to run. Something pulled her back. Desperate, broken, and bruised, she went to Nora. Nora welcomed her calmly, listened to her confession without shock. "I knew," Nora said quietly. Beezy stared at her in horror. "I knew you envied my life," Nora continued. "And I knew Femi would never let me leave unless someone replaced me." The truth crushed Beezy. Nora forgave her. But she did not save her. Because sometimes survival requires silence, sacrifice, and painful choices. Nora rebuilt her life slowly, peacefully. Beezy returned to the mansion, trapped in a fate she chose. And the world continued believing luxury was happiness, never knowing how many women were quietly praying to escape it. Peace, not wealth, was the real victory. And envy always comes with a price.